Hi, this is Nice Wonder of the Now Man Show, and I'm here with the journalist Robert Scheer, who is also the editor-in-chief of the online magazine Truth Dig, as well as the host of the weekly podcast on KCRW-FM, which is called The Scheer Intelligence. Professor Scheer, thank you for being on the Now Man Show. We are in an election season right now, and we have two of the most unfavorable candidates, I think, in the history of our country. So what do you think a Clinton or a Trump presidency would look like?
Well, when you say unfavorable, you mean they're evaluated by the public.
Yeah, by the public, yeah.
And I think there's something to be said about that. We know why a lot of people would have an unfavorable view of Trump. Mm-hmm. He's been a demagogue. I've called him a neo-fascist in his scapegoating of immigrants, of the vulnerable, blaming all our problems not on Wall Street, not on the rich and powerful, of which he is certainly a key member, but blaming it on people coming over here to try to make a living to feed their families and so forth. So that's very dangerous, demagogue. I don't want to minimize it. But Donald Trump didn't get the country into the big mess. He's just another financial pirate, not a particularly important one. He didn't run Goldman Sachs.
Yeah.
He didn't run Citigroup. He didn't run, the U.S. Congress. He wasn't president of the United States when Bill Clinton signed off on the Financial Service Modernization Act, the Commodity Futures Modernization Act, that made all these financial swindles legal.
Like derivatives?
All the collateralized debt obligations, credit default swaps, all of that was made legal in a bipartisan, Republican-led Senate working with the Democrat, Bill Clinton, and the worst one he signed off when he was a lame duck president. So, and Hillary Clinton knows all that.
And you mean Glass-Steagall's what you're referring to?
No, Glass-Steagall's the Financial Service Modernization Act. That was 2 years before, but when he's a lame duck president after the 2000 election, he signs off on the Commodity Futures, which is actually worse because Title III of the Commodity Futures Modernization Act said that none of these new financial devices, which were all hokum if the mafia did it, they'd throw them in the slammer forever.
Yeah.
And none of that will be regulated by any existing law or any regulatory agency. The fact that people don't know that, Title III of the Commodity Futures Modernization Act, signed by Bill Clinton, tells you where the mass media has been all these years. It's just unbelievable.
And then 8 years later, we can see the banks led us directly into the crisis.
Well, because they were empowered to write these, take different mortgages and package them together and put a new label on and swindle people. I mean, it's just incredible.
It was amazing.
Yeah, and then a lot of us, myself, supported Barack Obama. He came in, and he did the same thing George W. Bush did. George W. Bush did not create the financial crisis. He created a large part of the international crisis.
Right, foreign policy.
Of Iraq. And, but in terms of Wall Street, and in my book, The Great American Stick-Up, I document this quite nicely, and there's a scene that from Paulson, his Treasury Secretary, who had been head of Goldman Sachs, comes into the office, and Bush asked Paulson, he said, how did this happen?
Yeah.
And Paulson, the great Wall Street veteran, looks at the president and he says to himself, this is in his own book, he says it's a tough question to be asked because we did it, meaning Wall Street in cooperation with the federal government. And so Bush comes in, and what does he do? He bails out Wall Street, screws Main Street. Well, Barack Obama does the same thing, hires the same bandits that worked for Clinton, Lawrence Summers, who had worked for Robert Ruben, who had gone off to Citigroup, a bank made legal by...
You talked to those two at the Democrat National Convention, didn't you?
Well, not Ruben, I talked to Summers. I tried to talk to him. He's so arrogant, he didn't have to talk to anybody, he's... right? He got 6, even before Obama brought him into the administration again, and he'd been Treasury and everything, he was making $6 million a year from D. Shaw, one of the big hedge funds. I mean, he was making money like crazy.
Wasn't he chief economist for the World Bank, too?
Well, yes, but I mean, while he was advising Obama in that campaign in 2008, he was already making all this money from Wall Street. And these people have no shame.